Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to the Southern Magic Podcast with a pretty full crew tonight. So you have my host, I'm your host, Matt. We have Caleb, Will, Josh, and Grant. Say hi, everybody.
Hi there.
Hello.
I had dental work done today. That's why you can't see me right now.
I also had dental work today, and the lady said that I was cute, and I said, "Oh," but she was also 50, so I was like, "Well,
that makes it even better, though, right?" It's like,
yeah." She called me.
she's not lying,
sweetheart. Yeah, and she was like, "You have such nice teeth." And I was like, like that.
Well, it is.
Do you know they always talk to you when they're freaking like have their arm in your mouth? Like, what do they think is gonna happen?
They're like, "Let me know if this hurts." You're just like, "Oh."
Like, hey, look, I'd rather them like do that instead of them going, "Oops" or something.
That doesn't look right. And then they just take off running.
Well,
they just do the gum check and they go, "That's not right."
Well, it is absolutely freezing outside. I don't know about everybody else here, but I had to turn on faucets tonight to make sure that my pipes don't burst. So
you're about to say turn on your heater. I'm like, oh wow, that is cold.
No.
I had to do the same.
Temperature-wise, I'm pretty comfy. It's nice.
I had to do the old Alabama wrap. I had to get a towel, fold it like 3 times, wrap it around, get some bungee cord, wrap it around, and then cover it with a grocery bag. So yeah,
I have never heard of that. What?
Doing it big time.
That's what you do for your an outside hose.
I have not.
I
have
have
not heard
never
of that.
Heard of that. No.
No, dang, sorry.
Yeah,
my bad.
We're just some country people out here.
We have a little
out in the country.
We had a little house for our hose. It has its own little cabinet, and you can like wheel it like that.
Oh yeah, we forgot to mention Will Hargett, prominent nepo baby.
No.
That's how you.
We bought it
somebody.
later. We bought it later in life. It used to be around the trash can, but then I turned 6, and then we got it set up.
Later in life, Will Hargett, everybody, nepo baby.
Oh.
So if they have dedicated hose,
like me and Josh.
If they have like dedicated hose attachments, that's how you know they're doing better in life. I guess that's.
Dude, my dad bought an espresso machine because he wanted an espresso. Instead of going out to buy an espresso, he bought a machine and learned how to do it. He's like, now I can have espresso whenever I want. I'm like, why did you do that?
You can always tell how wealthy someone is if you go in their house and go to their bathroom and they have blue toilet water. If they have blue toilet water, you know, if they went out of their way to do that, just think about all the other stuff they'd buy.
What brown?
It's been used in
a rich person's house. I'm taking something. I'm coming out with something.
I remember you went over to my house once and you took a can of tomatoes for some reason.
Because I'm coming out with something.
What if you go into somebody's house and they have the reusable toilet paper? Have you seen that stuff on TikTok and stuff? It's horrifying. I'm like, I'm running out of that house if I see a roll of that.
Yeah, imagine
Can you imagine filing a warranty claim for it?
Yeah, imagine you're using the bathroom at someone else's house. You're using the bathroom at someone else's house. You're like, what's this sponge for? Where's the toilet paper? Like, you know what it's for.
Just get a bidet, please. It's so bad.
I just use towels.
Oh, okay. Well, this was a good introduction of the weather, followed by questionable bathroom habits. But if you're still here with us, we have a pretty interesting episode that we want to talk about. So, the main topic of tonight is going to be AI, specifically AI art in Magic the Gathering. So this story came out, I want to say like about a week, 2 weeks ago. They posted it, and I guess it was teasing the Shocklands, I think. And it was found out that was created using AI.
Artificial intelligence.
Yeah. And that caused a pretty big stir with a lot of people. So much so that even one of Magic's artists completely left. He completely quit.
Rest in peace. Green Sun Zenith in my heart.
Yeah,
Which artist was it?
that's
The
actually
guy
what I'm
who
looking
did
up.
Green Sun Zenith.
David Raposa.
Because he tweeted something underneath the thing, and he was like, "Hey, just like we know it's this way. Come on now." And they doubled down, and he was like, "All right, I'm done. Don't ever call me for contract work ever again."
And so AI in the past, this far exceeds Magic in particular. It's a very divisive topic nowadays, but it's kind of made its way into Magic. So I guess just what is everybody's thoughts on Wizard? I guess to kind of keep it organized, like, what are your thoughts on Wizards using AI for this particular ad, and maybe what does that say?
In my opinion, I think the big problem was one of the biggest problems was they lied about it. I don't know if you saw that, but the biggest thing was they're like, "Oh no, we don't use AI art. We would never do that." When they clearly did, and people pointed out where they where they used it. They literally sent a tweet that said we made a mistake or some crap like that after that happened. So,
To me, it's the fact that they like doubled down on it.
Yes.
Like when it was very obvious, like, hey, it's very obvious that this is AI this was created by an artificial intelligence. Can you just at least say that and maybe take it down and give an explanation? And they said, no, it wasn't made with an AI.
yeah, they couldn't
Mhm.
cite who it was either. Like they couldn't say, who made it, like who they contracted. Like it could have been a thing like they contracted it out and then that person used AI or something. But no, that wasn't even the case. They just didn't even hire anybody. They just used that. So
It's the dishonesty. It's the dishonesty that I think's the core issue. And to answer your question about using AI and like how Wizards using AI and my thoughts on it, I can play a bit of the devil's advocate in the sense of like I'm an accountant. That's my occupation. I constantly every day work closely to our financial analysts, and we're always looking at ways to, be more profitable. If I'm an accountant for Hasbro / Wizards of the Coast, and I didn't really care about the game of Magic or really anything about that, well, that's one way you can cut cost is by not having a commission a piece of art for a Magic card. So you start using AI. Now, fortunately, I think that Magic and Wizards of the Coast, they're not all ran by soulless corporate people. They actually, a lot of the people who work for Wizards, contrary to popular belief and what you hear on Twitter, they love the game of Magic and they love the people that play Magic. And I think that, while, they might not go all out on AI, I wouldn't be shocked if they use it a little bit more in the future, while still obviously getting the artists that we know and love today to commission future works of art. But as far as the outrage that happened recently, I just think it comes down to the dishonesty. If you would have just said from the start, like, hey, this was, just AI, this wasn't, instead of denying it and just coming clean about it, I think there would be a more calm reaction. I'm sure some people on Twitter or somewhere would still overblow it, but I think
because it wasn't
it
a card art either. It was a background. It was advertising the stuff. Like
Yep.
I feel like people would have understood if they just would have fessed up for it. Like there still would have been backlash. It's like, oh, you didn't commission somebody for it, but it's like, yeah, they lied. They just straight up lied, and that's the big issue about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. Well,
my take is that yeah, it's the dishonesty, and then also they shouldn't have used AI to make the backdrop. They should have just commissioned someone in the first place, because that's kind of one of the biggest things about working for Wizards of the Coast is they freelance artists. There aren't like artists who work at Wizards of the Coast. They hire out artists to do Magic the Gathering art. They hire out artists to do art for Dungeons and Dragons books. They hire out people to do this kind of art. And then they were just like, yeah, well, instead of doing our normal promotion that we always have and that's been made by a graphic designer, we're just going to generate something. And it's, I don't know, that to me is just kind of fucked up, for lack of a better term.
Mm-hmm.
I guess crux of it is they did commission an ad company to make that advert, and they used AI. So, you know, a little grain of salt of like, yeah, you should probably work in your language since you are such an art centric company that, you know, if you're doing this contract with us, we expect at least digital medium, not AI generated, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Completely reasonable going forward. I think again, I won't say lying because again that would require them knowing. I think it's just a lack of due diligence on their part. They got the advert package, they paid the people for it, and they did not look at it again.
It was lack of internal controls in the company.
Right. So I think it's more an operations perspective. Again, AI art in the general sense, I think is pretty handy, especially for people that can't afford commissioning artists, etc. But when you're having record profits over record profits and you've been doing commissioned art the whole time, you've got a higher standard.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as
I actually have to disagree on your last point there, Caleb. I don't think AI art is handy at all. I think I vehemently oppose artificial intelligence creating art. And you can't see me, but I'm putting create in quotations because it's not necessarily creating the art. It's like skimming through digital medium that's been posted online, that's been posted and that's been fed to the machine and using that to generate something else. I actually reached out to a friend of mine who is an artist, who they've been hired by Troy University. They've worked with other groups down in South Alabama, and they are also not just graphic design, but also just personal art. And they said this: the ability for soulless companies to make soulless art will be the downfall. Why would they need to hire artists when they can get an AI to do it for them? It's sad and pathetic, and I've never seen anyone be like, oh my God, I love AI art. It's always, ew, that is AI art. Artificial intelligence art is the death of creativity. It's a
I just think
little
it comes down.
extreme. It's a
Sorry.
little extreme, but I kind of have to agree with it because it's not necessarily. I don't know. Because of the way that it's generated, it doesn't feel like it's art. It's like you're putting it through a computer and the computer's spitting something back out.
Go to corporate. Go to Hasbro, and let them know because I mean, again, the guys who are making these decisions, they're not looking at Twitter. They're not on subreddits. They're not on podcast. So that's where the issues lie, and
Mm-hmm.
it's tough. Like I said, the good news is I don't think it will be long term, but who knows? I guess I think it's also the not knowing aspect of it, what the future holds for artists and AI in general. That's kind of the spooky part of it, but I'm hopeful. I'm optimistic that we're gonna keep our Johannes Vosses, we're gonna keep our Kev Walkers, we're gonna keep all of the artists we know and new artists, that we haven't yet seen. So we'll see.
Yeah, and the another pushback to against the total absence of AI in art too is like Photoshop actually has AI elements in it that a lot of people use, and that's kind of where the whole debate starts to become hazy and kind of in a gray zone because digital artists routinely use, I don't think a lot of people would disagree that someone using a digital medium to create art, that is still art. Somebody on a sit teach or whatever, a bamboo or whatever the tablets are, creating art, that is still undeniably art. But you can use AI tools to expand it or help you with backgrounds. I don't know all the ins and outs of it. I just know that they exist and they are used. And then you kind of start to get into another thing is like, okay, well, is this AI art? Would this be considered that? Because you did use AI elements in it, and then it kind of it really gets into a really contentious area with a lot of people. So that's definitely a facet of it. As far as my take on this immediate issue, just to kind of keep it in perspective, I think this was basically, as we all said, I think this is just a lack of communication on everybody's part, because what I saw of this, how I kind of interpreted it, as this company, whoever was handed this project by Wizards or by the ad company they outsourced to, just waited until the 11th hour or whatever to submit something, and they put it into an AI generator and submitted it. So definitely lazy on their part, and Wizards definitely messed up by at least not verify. I mean, you didn't even have to use any like advanced tools to see that it was AI. You could see, clearly there were some elements on it that were just incorrect. And with that, I think that the Repose's immediate departure from it because of that was, I think it was a little bit of an overreaction, because this wasn't art exactly. This was a piece of promotional content that they used, not in any creative capacity, like on the art of a card or a new character or whatever. Definitely not forgiving them for it. I still think it was wrong to pass that off as an ad, but I think that I think you kind of have a situation if you're throwing the baby out with the bathwater by just up and quitting because this one ad had AI art in it. That's kind of my perspective on this situation.
Yeah, and again, that covers a lot of my rebuttal anyway. But the point is, what the ad agency did was generate the background, and then in Photoshop inserted the card. They high-res scanned, texture blended, flipped the card, and placed it into the background.
And that's like part
So
of
spinning up a
creation of digital
background
media.
versus the level of detail required. That was, I agree, probably a timeline concession of that would have taken forever to make to digitally draw that entire
Mhm.
crowded laboratory would have actually taken weeks.
Yeah, but like
'Cause, these are people's
that's the
paid
thing.
jobs.
It's like, oh well, so it comes to a timeline thing, and then it comes down to, okay, well now, yeah, it's like, well, who was drawing it before? It was procedurally generated. You know, what
Yep.
would have happened if we didn't have this procedurally generated? Wizards would have had a shit ad, or that company just wouldn't have done anything. And so it's just it's a soulless kind of money grab.
Mhm.
And it's maybe those aren't the right words, but it really feels like, hopefully this doesn't set a precedent going forward, because obviously I'm not an artist. I don't do graphic design. I don't do any of that. But like the AI generation tools that are in Adobe Photoshop are generating background, are quote unquote clearing up and changing certain like lighting elements and shades and stuff like that. But it's still kind of like well, are you a real artist by doing that? Because you've essentially, I don't know, you've let someone else do the work for you, in my opinion.
And I will say this, and this will probably be my last thing I'll say on the subject is, And I do agree with Grant. I kind of touched on it earlier where I said it's really the fear of not knowing where they're going to move forward with this. You know, I do kind of, it's my opinion is a mix of Caleb and Grant, where I do think it's a bit of an overreaction, and I don't think this is something to flip tables and burn down villages over. But I do think it can set a precedent because at the end of the day, art is subjective. But if there is anything objective of art, it's the humanity of it. And if you take that away, what is it? So I think that's how I think about it. So I hope they don't continue with AI art. Would it just floor me and shock me that a $1 million, if not $1 billion corporation decided to cut costs to try to get a marginal profit? No, but I think it's just a fear of not knowing where they're going to go moving on forward from this. But overall, like I said again earlier, I'm optimistic. I think they'll make the right choice. One of the few choices that they do right, but I think they'll do it right this time.
Yeah, that was actually a take I was going to bring up. Is that's something that I had heard people saying is this whole thing was a boiling the frog in a way where they're sneaking in some AI art and seeing how much they can get away with, and then eventually completely changing over to AI art. And I disagree with that. I don't think I say this, and it pains me to say this. I'm willing to give Wizards the benefit of the doubt on this because I genuinely think this was just a bad company that they hired. They probably had an unrealistic timeline for them to stick to. Of like, hey, we need this, gave them all the details, we need it in like a week or something, and then as a last ditch effort they probably resorted to AI to fulfill that request. So I'm willing to give a little bit of leeway on this and say this was just a mistake. Lying about it is a completely different thing though. Instead of owning the mistake outright. Because I think that is more so what everybody is upset about is the completely like denying truth, that you can see with your two eyes. This is obviously AI. Say it's AI, it's like Mermaid Man with Patrick, this is AI, right? Nope, it's not.
Yeah, like doubling down on
Not my wallet.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It kind of feels like Wizards did put in that do not generate this through AI, and they did. And so Wizards had to be like, no, it's not. We told, but they obviously couldn't say. We told the company we gave this to, don't use AI art because then there could be like a suit or something, and then it's like, oh well, I guess they did.
Yeah, just to round it out, they used a Photoshop tool it's effectively extend or fill, and it basically generates an image off of your initial image and makes it fill a larger space. I've worked in graphic design. I've been a front end developer for pages that use these tools. It's an industry standard thing in graphic design. But the previous kind of conversation around like certain Magic cards maybe having AI generated art kind of started that initial flame. And then for them to be like, okay, we won't do it. And then this, I think, is where the kickoff really began. Like if this was our first run in with it, it wouldn't have been anything major. It was that we had this kind of scare of them like taking away art, and then this happened. And I mean, they even issued a clear statement, right? Like when they were like, okay, we made a mistake saying no AI art. Apparently there technically was, because they used a Photoshop tool that uses AI. Basically good catch. Are bad. Like, let us issue a real statement about dealing with this in the future. So I think they're in a decent trajectory. Again, that's what makes AI useful, because if you've ever worked in graphic design, you never have enough time That's just how it is. That's why I don't do it anymore. Is no timeline is enough time. They
Mhm.
will not pay your salary to do 2 projects. They will go bankrupt and close if all they can do is turn around that many projects, right? So
Mhm.
that type of world is very turn and burn. You have to get through a lot. AI helps in some of the more mundane pieces, like stretching an image to the appropriate size, things like that. I think it is useful in those spaces. Um, I think I shared the general sentiment of the room with like generating the art from like concept or from like words to give me a picture that's this mountaintop or whatever is probably not great and is kind of threatening to a major flagpole of the game of what makes Magic cool is that it has all these cool art pieces. Um, but I don't think they're willing to go that far either because there is an entire art market in Magic. I know we're not hobbyists in that degree, but there is like a whole Magic art exchange that would then starve out or fall off of the game. And they move a lot more money than than anybody else does. So
Mhm.
that would have some ripples for sure, as we've seen with just this ad. So again, it's a useful tool, but it is a tool.
Yeah, it's
You know,
not a
it is
crutch.
intended. Yeah, it is intended for extending one's capabilities, not for replacing them.
Yeah, yeah. I think
Uh,
that's a sentiment I can get behind. Speaking of
so
art,
yeah,
what's everyone's favorite Magic the Gathering art?
Oh, I thought I had an answer for this.
Death to the Debtless. All right, hear me out. That
Ooh,
card looks
ooh,
extremely metal, and you could never frame that in your house without looking like a Satan worshiper. But
that one's
that art
pretty
is
cool.
just that art is so freaking cool. Like
ooh.
my wife, and it's funny because my wife was looking at her Pokemon cards, and her favorite Pokemon is Rowlet, so she'll collect all the different Rowlet cards. And she was trying to make up her mind which one was her favorite. She goes, "Hey, honey, what's your favorite Magic card art?" And I said, "Death to the Debtless." And she looked it up, and she was like, "I'm so concerned about you." Because it's pretty gnarly looking, but that's one of those pieces of art that I can just kind of look at and just kind of stare at for like about a minute or so, and just be like, "Man, that's pretty sick." So that's my favorite.
Oh, let's see. One that keeps jumping to mind is Restoration Angel, like the original art for it. Just
Ooh.
the the way that the motion of the angel was captured in it, and the colors and the lighting of it, and the shadows from her hair over her face. It's really cool. It's very pretty art if you see it like blown up. Um, that's one of them, definitely. There's others, but that's the one that I'm thinking of currently is like OG Resto. It was really great.
Um, I gotta say, my it's not my favorite art per se, but my favorite artist is Wayne Reynolds. He is my all-time favorite. Not even just Magic, but like Wizards of the Coast, like fantasy uh, uh, artist. He's done stuff for
he did
Pathfinder.
he
He
did
did
a
a lot of
Johnny
stuff for.
Vengeance, right?
He also did the promo, the dual deck Knight of the Reliquary. He had a whole secret layer of a bunch of dwarves. Um, he also did one of the Mardu Angels as well. He's got a very distinct style. Did a lot of stuff for fourth edition Dungeons and Dragons, and I think that's when I really fell in love with his art. Because I remember seeing that style, and I was like, "Oh shit, that's what I would be like if I was playing Dungeons and Dragons. I want to do that." Um, by far, has to be one of my all-time favorite artists. And then I'm trying to find the name of the card, but um, let me get back to you when I can find the name of the card because I have it framed, and that's my favorite Magic art. But
I will
Wayne
give
Reynolds,
one. I will give one honorable mention to Blood Artist, the original Blood Artist art. And trust me, for those of you listening, I'm not just some like goth, like just some emo kid that just like hates everything. But Blood Artist is one of those cards that I started playing Magic with because I started playing Magic around Innistrad block, and that's from Avacyn Restored if I remember correctly. And I remember looking at that art and I was like, huh, that's a creepy looking vampire. And then like maybe just 2 years ago, I saw a close up of that card. There's a freaking guy hanging upside
Mhm.
down and he's draining the
Oh,
blood
yeah.
from him and using
Mhm.
that as the paint. And I was like, hell yeah. that is awesome.
Oh yeah.
Have you
So
seen
that
have you seen the edit of that card where he's painting dick butt?
Yes.
It's great. It's like in red and everything on his canvas, just dick butt. All right, Will, what's your favorite art?
My favorite's OG Grove of the Burn Willows. I really like that art.
That is
Like
good.
that is the only card I think I've ever wanted just because of the art. I like the red tree and all that. So
Oh,
yeah, I really enjoy that one, and that's part of the reason why I want that card unbanned, or not that Punishing Fire unbanned, so I could play it.
okay. I found the name of the card. My favorite art is it's a new one. It has recently risen to the top. It's Storm the Seed Core from March of the Machines.
Oh, that card. Yeah, that's a good
Oh,
one.
okay.
I have that one. I saw it and I immediately bought a print of it from Jason Rainville's store. It's just so good. Like just the colors and like the Renaissance style of it. Oh, it's just I have it framed above my computer. It's so fucking good.
All right, Caleb, want to round us out with some banger art?
Yeah, mine's the Mystic Archive Faithless Looting.
That's a good one.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's notoriously terrible, and then you see the full print and it's like actually really good. Which is hilarious to me that just Magic cropping to put a border on it made it go from like this really cool like modern medium art style to like, what is this?
Mhm.
This is terrible.
I just love how the guy has the same kind of hand structure as the butler from Scary Movie, like just like this.
But in all seriousness, Blood Artist actually is my favorite art. I just don't want to be a little copycat since Josh already honorable mentioned it. But
Sorry.
there are a couple other bangers, and both of them are black cards. So maybe Josh and I just have like
Yeah,
something
me and
wrong.
Caleb
Our
were
brain
the
chemistry.
emo buds over here, just
Yeah,
not
yeah.
a phase.
Black has some good cards.
They're,
Black has
they're
some
both
good
like,
cards.
yeah. Oh yeah, they have art that like you'll notice the art because they get to
That's
do
the
all
one
kinds of crazy
oh
stuff.
Terror. There's a Terror. I think that's the name of
Yeah.
the card. Where it's like the flesh,
The
the
guy
skeleton
in-
coming out of the
yeah.
muscle, and the muscle coming out of the flesh.
Yeah,
I guess the last one I would say is honorable mention. It's a 3-way tie. I also love the original Bitter Blossom art. Rebecca Gay
Oh,
is
yeah.
my favorite artist in Magic, and it's just it looks so good. A lot of the art from Lorwyn block is just unbelievable, but
Yeah.
Bitter Blossom I think is like that's one of the art pieces I think of when I think of Magic art, like iconic Magic art. That's just one of the few that actually just pops up in my head for some reason. I could be alone in that boat, but that's original Bitter Blossom is just one that always kind of.
I have a honorable mention also, but it's not because I mean I do like the art, but it's because it brings back a really good memory, and that's Sands of Delirium. And Matt knows exactly
Oh
why,
my
which
God.
we'll tell that story a different time. But I have it hanging on the other side of this
that
wall.
cursed print of Sands of Delirium.
Funny, yeah, that's like every time I look at it, I'm like,
And all of this art that we've all mentioned would not be possible without the input and the talent of real flesh and blood, not the game artists.
This is Magic.
So-
I was really hoping Matt would say would not be available if it weren't for our AI artists. Swerving.
They're all AI. I tricked you. No, I'm just playing. But yeah, no.
Jeez.
So that kind of covers the main topic. There are a few smaller topics that kind of cropped up during the week. It was it's been a pretty eventful couple of weeks for Magic news. So one thing that I think is worth bringing up news wise is SCG is getting back into doing RCQs. Had they stopped or something, and they're coming back to doing it?
Okay, so word is they are handling the the structure of like RCQs and RCs. So it's like, you know how Channel Fireball was like did all the GPs and stuff? Now it's that, but for Star City Games. Is like the best way I can explain it.
Yeah, so they have been operating similar to every other store. Like Star City Game Center hosted RCQs. And then as Grant said, when they organize like Dreamhack was the organizer and correspondent and made sure orders of pins were fulfilled and made sure venues were booked, etc. That's where SCG is now stepping in, is where Dreamhack was.
So
So it could still be co-hosted or co-owned theoretically, but SCG will be responsible for the orchestration of the event and venues, etc.
So it's
Yeah.
still underneath Dreamhack, or they're completely moving
Nope.
away. They're moving away
They
from
are away.
Dreamhack. Okay.
At the end of this year, they will be moving away from Dreamhack.
It's the usual Wizards thing. Give it 2 years, sunset the program. So, kind of.
Well, that's actually kind of exciting because I was if that's the comparison being drawn, is that they're going to be hosting like the GPs in a way of Magic.
Yeah.
That's like that takes me back to GP Charlotte, the massive drop line that was there. Oh man, that's such a funny story.
Another memorable art was what was the playmat art?
Pour over the pages.
Exactly. Everyone thinks of that art when you say GP Charlotte.
Oh, so just for the listeners, I'm trying to make it quick because there was so much that went wrong at that GP. But Star City Games hosted GP. I think it was in Charlotte. And the playmat was awful. It was pour over the pages, which is pretty good card, but the art was nothing spectacular. The bathroom at the venue was leaking water out of the light socket, and it was flooding, so there was no reliable bathroom. And then the tournament software kept crashing the entire day. So, and I think it was like 4:00 in the afternoon when they were going into round 3 of a 9-round tournament or something. And they did a thing where it's like, if you drop right now, you can get an infinite challenge pass for the entire weekend. And I took a video of it. I don't know what happened to it, but there was a line of literally 1,000 people that were dropping from the event. And it's so, oh man, it's such a great bad memory. That GP.
Remember, like you could go like X5 or something and make day 2 or something crazy like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so glad I didn't go to that one. I went to the one before where Noble Hierarch was the thing.
That was a good one.
Was legal.
But that's
so-
exciting news though.
So it is partnered with SCG Con going forward. All RCs will be hosted in SCG Cons. So it will really have that like GP feel of like commander tables occupying a large swath while nobody's on them. And then you walk outside of the ballroom and there's a bunch of commander games going on. So it'll have all the major tenets, right? But SCG as a force will address some of the complaints about like card supply from like the previous RC, right? Because it's not Dreamhack why would they have any motivation to run a major supply of those cards in particular, right? It's SCG who will actually just make all their money off of that. Like the buying and selling of those. So.
That is one thing that was nice about SCG cons and opens back in the day was the SCG booth just seemed to have just this giant swath of like everything you needed.
Oh yeah, Oh yeah,
Like, you had to- like, you
across
had-
every format too. Like even if you
Like-
scrubbed and were like scrambling to put together your standard deck for like the the Sunday Classic, you could still get
It was
all of your sundowns or whatever.
it was the giving tree. It was the giving tree vendor, definitely.
And
Like it was really cool. But
and you bastards took it for granted.
no, I am excited about this.
I'm
Yeah.
optimistic about SCG taking this over. I'm not excited yet because they did fire their entire stable of competitive writers, cancel versus live, and do all of that only to like now be back to being effectively the single source of competitive Magic. So like what a turnaround. How far are we going to go back into this? Is this just similar to Will's comment earlier, just a couple of years bridge thing while Wizards figures out the rest? So I'm like cautiously optimistic. What I think this opens up that DreamHack really had no motivation or need to do is to have regionally segmented RCs at the same time. So like instead of making every single person fly to Denver, you could have one in Denver and one in Florida or whatever, and try to make them more travel feasible for folks. Because having to go all the way to California from where we are was
It's so
rough.
expensive. Yeah.
And then
Well, it's just-
for
Yeah,
people
yeah,
from
yeah.
California to have to go to Atlanta, also
Yeah.
rough, also very hard.
Or
So
just
like,
have
started going-
everyone transfer the invite to the next one.
Luckily, they
Yeah.
started doing the friggin' airport hubs. It's got Denver, Dallas, and Atlanta right now. That's a lot better than San Diego, where it's how much was it for that flight? I remember, Matt. I think you were looking. It was like $800, and then the friggin' all that. It was to play Standard when Standard was kind of poopy. Well, it wasn't poopy. It's just nobody was playing it.
Hope you like
So-
Rakdos.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No,
Yeah.
it was man, I had every plan to go to that, and then like I just started looking at like as you said, I was looking at hotel prices and the airfare over there, and then not to mention food and stuff that you need to eat and whatever, and it was just like this is
you
going
don't need food.
this is going to be like a $3,000 or $4,000 trip. This is ridiculous. So, no, I said no to that. It's always nice when there's like a Atlanta one or even a Charlotte one. Just hop and a skip across the state line, and then you're there.
You know what I'm actually excited about the SCG cons is? You don't have to pay to get in. You can just
That is
go.
true. That is true.
That's part of the reason I didn't go. I wanted to go to the DreamHack in Atlanta, but I was like, I don't want to pay, $100 or so just to get in there to pay for an event. But I don't know. That just might be the thrifty person in me talking. But
I remember what I was going to say. So the good thing about DreamHack was, if you completely shat the bed in Magic, you're still at DreamHack. You just go out and watch, StarCraft or Fortnite or whatever, or go look at all the vendors over there that are not selling Magic stuff. Like if you want to completely remove yourself from Magic for the remainder of the weekend because you just are tilted or whatever, you could do that easily. And that is one thing. I guess it's kind of minor, but it's the one thing that I really enjoyed about DreamHack. Although I will definitely, if losing that in favor of open halls that you could just go into, and also being able to bring water and food in is a really big thing, because oh my god, I tried to find water at DreamHack Atlanta and I got handed gummy worms by a vendor one time, and that was I was upsetty spaghetti about that.
Gotta keep the sugar going.
Yeah,
it might just be a hot take, and I agree with you. I really like DreamHack. I don't think Magic was the right place for it.
No.
Because can you imagine when a big play happens and like just StarCraft or anything like that? Imagine that same reaction when Josh casts a Supreme Verdict. Like it's just weird, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm.
imagine if we all started cheering when that happened. We would get kicked out of the hall. Yeah.
I like the move if for nothing else because everyone in this podcast knows this, but for those listening and those who've only gotten to competitive Magic recently would know this, but SCG used to have the SCG tour. It used to have the tour, and then it would culminate at the Invitational. Well, at some point they started to call the Invitational SCG Con. Well, then COVID happened, and now everything's SCG Con. So it kind of lost its luster. It's just an event that they have. They've been kind of garbage at marketing it. That's why SCG, I believe it was Cincy, was like the most recent one, and it had like an absolute poop fire of a turnout.
Mm-hmm.
So,
You know where the next one is?
no idea.
Exactly.
No idea.
I'll give you 5 guesses, and they're all going to be wrong. It's Hartford, Connecticut.
Oh yeah, that is wrong. Or I would have got it wrong. But
Yeah.
I'm excited about this because, well, it's the RC. Everyone's going to know about it, even if SCG wants to be lazy AF in their marketing. And SCG Con finally has meaning. It actually has. There's a little bit more grandeur to it now because the winner of this can go to the Pro Tour, and if not further than that, then go to Worlds. So I think it's awesome. I'm glad they're doing it. I'm glad there is some pinnacle of Magic that is represented by just Magic and not mixed in with all other kind of esports and stuff like that. That may just be me, but I'm glad the SCG cons just mean something again because they were just kind of it was just a word. It was just a phrase. It was just a event you would travel to. Nothing really more important than that. So I like it.
It was just for fun. That's kind of what it was.
Yeah,
And now there's actual, now you can go for competitive and you can go for fun. So
Yeah. And it's more affordable. As weird as that is to say, it's more affordable and more convenient. So
that's kind of what I liked about Eternal Weekend because there was a big tournament for us to play in to scratch our competitive needs, and then there was all these challenges for us to try out fun decks and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, we are right at 50 minutes. So in the last 10 or so minutes, we have some rapid fire questions that we want to go down, unless anybody has anything they want to address or say before we move on to that.
Yay,
nay? Okay. All right. So everybody, we're just going to go around and give 1 to 2 sentences to answer these questions.
What if mine's a run-on sentence?
Then you should have gone to 5th grade again.
Multiple commas.
And, but, or, and, but,
okay.
or,
so,
semicolon.
Number 1, could Atraxa realistically get banned? Caleb, you can start.
It certainly could. If outcry is loud enough, Wizards has yielded and banned things, but I think there's no power level or metagame occupancy rate that would warrant a ban.
Okay. For me, I would much rather see Sheoldred get banned than Atraxa. I think that is the true problem and the thing that makes me hesitant to play Standard. All right, Will?
I don't think it'll get banned because of the prevalence of removal spells and get rid of it, and then you could also just play cards like the Shauna's Tidebinder, which I have yet to see. I think it'll be hilarious, but anyway, no.
Okay.
I think it could. Hard to tell right now, but Cavern of Souls could have definitely put that card over the top because a lot of the times it's Tasha's Tidebinder or bust. So maybe, who knows? We'll see.
All right, and Grant.
Could it? Yes. Should it? No.
Okay. Clean and simple. All right. Number 2, what is the healthiest format currently? Caleb, you may start.
Standard.
Okay. I am going to say Legacy.
I also say Legacy.
Legacy. And it's not close.
Standard, and Josh is wrong.
I'm
Well,
glad none of us said modern. Because if it was modern, this would not be a rapid fire question.
modern, say modern. That's fighting words.
Oh, no, it's a rapid fire, as in I'd be rapidly fired from the podcast.
I'm telling you, days and forces will hold the back of the
Yeah.
formats.
Yeah, that's health right there. Run
It-
these 2 cards or else.
yes.
All
Yes.
The pinnacle of health.
Yeah, it's a 52 card deck.
Number 4. Should you get a this is unsportsmanlike conduct? Is that what that
Yeah,
abbreviation
that's
for?
what that is.
Should you get an unsportsmanlike conduct offense, minor offense, for registering a foreign card with an offensive word in English, i.e., retard, for delay?
Absolutely. The issue is enforcement context would make this very challenging. But yeah, I mean, if you are doing it for giggles, absolutely.
Okay. Mine is basically the same. If you are playing the card with the explicit purpose of playing it for the humor of it, that I think is unsportsmanlike conduct. If you are of that, speak that language, or have an enthusiasm for that language, I think that's okay. Context is really what matters here, in my opinion.
I mean, I agree. I think it's context. Like I could spout out a lot of the cards that you could run that could get you banned. And if you're running them all in the same deck, you're probably looking for a reaction. But yeah, I think it warrants an investigation. But yes, I think you can get a USC minor.
I think you can. I think it's all about intent. Luckily, delay sucks as a Magic card, so this instant will probably never happen. But if you say literally out loud, "I'm casting delay," and don't bring attention to the card, I couldn't care less. But if you out loud say, "I'm casting retard," you're doing that to elicit a reaction of some kind, and you're trying to elicit a reaction at the expense of a marginalized group of people that is a large percent of the human population, many of which I am close to and love. So yeah, I think that is a very simple cause for a USC.
I think once I'm just going to echo everyone on the podcast. Yeah, you should get a USC minor. Also, it's a really low brow when you could be playing French Fatal Push.
Say fatal is
Yeah, Poussé Fatal.
Or Wilder Nakatl.
Yeah, there are some that I think are fine.
There are foreign cards that are funny
What?
and like what? They
Would
won't.
Wilder Nakatl,
Adios.
got dirt
Yeah.
uber fart. Yeah,
Like,
I
there are
think
some-
I think those are fine. I think the ones that don't recall slurs, those are the ones that are like, okay, that's not okay. But like fart,
German Island,
fart,
French
and
play, Spanish negate.
oh no,
I know a lot of these.
yeah.
so Will's gonna get us canceled.
Nice. I already told y'all it was fine.
Yeah, I will say I know it's rapid fire, but I will say like playing French Fatal Push just to be like, haha. Again, if you like way overstress it or become overbearing about it, just stop. Like there's a pretty big conversation about like including women in the game and trying to be more inclusive and respectful to that. And like
Mhm.
that's a really good way to make them very uncomfortable very fast.
Yeah,
'Cause if you're
That's-
hammering a joke when it's just a card,
Yeah.
like say it, somebody will chuckle because 12-year-old sense of humor is still there. And move on. But like the people that really hammer it of like I only buy like French Fatal Pushes and stuff, it's like okay,
trying a
enough.
little hard. Yeah,
Yeah, enough. We got it. We chuckled. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
All right, number 5. What card could realistically be unbanned? And there is no format given for this, so I think this is just kind of open to whatever format you think. So pick one card. What do you think could be unbanned in whichever format? So I am going to say Deathrite Shaman in Modern.
Yikes. Okay.
I have mine.
That is mine.
Whenever.
Yike.
This is the correct answer because I thought about this all day. And I forgot it was even banned in this format. Glimpse of Nature in Modern. What in the world would that even do? That would be so similar to when Ancestral Vision got unbanned in Modern. People would be like, oh my god, we get to play this again? And then they'd remember Orcish Bowmaster exists. And then they would immediately just throw it away. That card would do nothing. It doesn't really belong on the ban list. I don't care if it gets taken off of the ban list, but that's the correct option because it would literally do nothing.
Inverter of Truths and Pioneer.
Ooh, okay.
Punishing Fire in Modern.
I love that.
That's a good one.
Fury at
Unbanned.
Home.
Unban Yorion, you cowards. Or at
It
least
did-
give
it
me
did
a better
nothing wrong.
reason
We've-
that my dainty hands can't handle it.
We've-
But I can in Pioneer and Legacy and all this, and Commander's your number one. Anyway, that was a run-on sense.
We've grown. Our hands are bigger now. We can handle it.
It did nothing wrong.
It's only in mod. Okay, anyway.
Also, honorable mention to Bridge from Below.
Oh, yeah.
It-
Shout out.
Died for Hogak sins, and like
And then Hogak
but
died
now
anyway.
people are like, well, I want to make other cool cards, so like let's just keep it off for when I eventually feel like designing another graveyard card. And it's like, well, okay, good chance on ever making that graveyard card good
Let's
because you ban
legalize dark.
faithless looting too. So
Mm.
you keep killing everything that sets those up. So like, good luck making it good enough to play.
All right. Was that everybody?
Yeah.
Okay. Number 6, foils or no? I am going to say if the majority of your deck is foil, yes. If you only have one foil in the deck because you couldn't find another one, it feels awful.
I have the ultra controversial opinion of I don't really care. Just play.
Mine is if quality control was good throughout all the sets. Yes. But let me tell you, some of those Commander Legend things are like freaking papers. Like they're just like shaped like this. And then you go to like Avacyn Restored and they're like you could leave them by a pool and they won't curl.
Oh, go ahead, Caleb.
No foils. Foils are egregious. If you foil out your deck, you're hurting my head and giving me a migraine. Go away.
At Morgan.
Yeah, I'm with you, Caleb. I don't actively seek out foils unless I'm like I have one deck that I'm actively seeking to foil out. Other than that, I actively try and stay away from them.
Yeah, again, a run on. Love full arts. Love borderless. Love alternate treatments. Those are all great.
Oh, hell
Just
yeah.
foils literally cause tournament problems and hurt my sensitive little baby eyeballs.
Okay. All right. Let's see.
What's your opinion on cold foils from other games? Do you like those?
Like cold foils in Flesh and Blood?
Flesh and Blood, Arcana, all that. Yeah.
I mean, they're good. They don't hurt my eyes, but again,
that's what I'm
I
saying. They're a
don't
little
like
like
that
that,
there's competitive invariability just because of the treatment of a card.
It's fair.
Now, what is
Like-
a cold foil? I've not.
You will not get me to play the mouse game. Richard Rat can keep his filthy fingers away from me.
The cold foil treatment is basically that they have a layer of almost like matte varnish in between the foil layer and the top layer of the card. So it looks good. It looks almost like a foil behind a sleeve, but they can do a lot of like layering with it. So they can make only the background foil layer on and still have a shine over the top of the entire card. It's pretty cool.
Interesting. Okay.
And it will never curl. There's just too many barriers for moisture to permeate. So like you just can't coil. You can't
I can't
curl.
see it. But that's
Kind
a
of,
cool foil.
Okay.
kind of imagine like a Pokemon, like one of the really expensive Pokemon foils.
Magic calls them etched foils. Like if you remember in Modern Horizons 2, etched foils are very similar process to create this.
All right.
Okay. Next question.
Next question. I am going to skip the next one because I want that to be our last one to cap off the episode. What is your favorite card? I am going to say Sphinx's Revelation. For reasons I think I've said before, back when that card was good, you could be top decking at 1 life, and if you drew that card and mana flooded, and if you drew that card, you were immediately back in the game.
And you draw Terminus off on your first card too. So
Yeah, that's true. That's
Sphinx for
mine.
9.
All right. Will, what is your favorite card? I have a guess of what your favorite card is.
My favorite card's Brazenbar. I have 13. And I'm using all of them.
Oh, okay.
What did you think of my
I was going to say Crashing Footfalls.
No, that guy sucks. Yes, it wins me a lot of games. But I could play something with flash and bounce something and then play a threat. This card's great. It's like Vendilion Click, but better.
Oh, how the mighty have fallen. Okay, Josh, what's your favorite card?
Mother of Runes. That's been my favorite card for the better part of a decade. Simple, iconic, and I feel like it's, depending on the matchup, if it's a fair matchup, I feel like it's pretty impossible for me to lose if I have an active one in play.
Fair,
All right.
respectable. All right, Grant.
You already know what the answer is. It's Primeval Titan.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say Knight of the Reliquary.
Oh, Knight is definitely one of my. It's definitely top 5. It's definitely breaching that top 5. But I'm not even deluding myself anymore. My favorite card of all time is Primeval Titan.
All right, Caleb.
My favorite card is Blightning.
Yeah.
Hell
Good
yeah!
one. Very good one. All right, and our final question of the night to round it all out, since we're running out of time a little bit, but we can touch on this. Do you think, in the spirit of New Year's resolutions, we're kind of still at new into 2024. In the past year, do you feel like you have improved at Magic? And I am going to say, yes. I don't think I have gotten any better at Moto. I'm still routinely making misclicks and going through phases accidentally on Moto. But just being with the podcast and what we have at Southern Magic, being way more involved with the game literally on a weekly basis has made me think about the game more, and I feel like that has translated into the game. So I'm going to say yes, I have. All right, how about we go with Will?
Heck yeah, I'm the best player in the state. What are you talking about? No. I think I have improved. I think my results have been really good this past year. If it's rapid fire, I'm going to stop it there. But yeah, I think I've improved.
All right.
Waited for me to move to make that claim, eh?
Rapid fire. Honestly, I feel like, God. Yes and no. Second sentence. I feel like I definitely improved from January to like May, and then from August to now, I feel like I've either stagnated or even potentially gotten a little worse, and it's just because I don't play as much.
You've had life.
Yeah,
So
life happens.
There's more important things than Magic sometimes. You can cut that off the podcast if you don't believe that, Matt. It's okay.
Big disclaimer at the bottom. This is not.
Will's
This is not.
views do not reflect the views of Southern Magic as a whole.
You are not the chief.
All right, Josh. How about you?
I do. I think I had probably the best year of Magic I've had results wise. It's not quite 2 sentences, but I'm gonna go fast. Probably the best year of Magic I've had results wise. Obviously, had probably the best tournament finish I had at Eternal Weekend because I was like 1,000 something players and I was able to get 33rd. So it's kind of insane and mind blowing when I think about it. I probably hold the nationwide record for the amount of RCQ top 8s and not qualify. So that must count for something.
How many thing in the ices do you have?
I have like 7 of them. I'm gonna collect them and put them on that wall eventually. But
I didn't buy any of these.
But I will say
earned
this.
these.
And this is the last thing I'll say. The one thing I've learned is the more I've played and the better I've gotten this year is, variance is an aspect of Magic that you'll never be able to fully get around. And don't get me wrong, I will still use it as a crutch when I lose because I'm a salty individual. But I've also learned that the better you play, the more higher level Magic you play, variance is actually less of a factor. If you play tighter and play smoother, you can actually, it's not that much of a factor. Yes, you can't control mulligans, you can't control getting flooded, but you can control how well you play and how you react in those situations. And I think that's something that I've taken away the most in 2023, and I'm going to try to apply it to 2024.
Great answer. Great answer. All right.
Yeah, way to not run on.
And Caleb.
Improved since last year for sure, but I think I'm just now back to my GP performance peak from like my earlier college years when I was living with 2 L2 judges and Pro Tour competitors and things like that. We definitely, I leveled up a lot during that time and lost a lot of it since, and I'm just now really getting back into that. My sideboarding especially has picked up a lot this year. I'm able to craft some better plans, control my sideboarding better.
That's huge.
And evaluate metagames better. So it's kind of off the ball stuff that I've gotten better at this year. Of like my tournament prep is a lot better.
No, that's really big. Well, and if any of you would like to get better at Magic and maybe have some laughs along the way as you just hear a bunch of buds talk about Magic on a weekly basis and run leagues and whatnot, please feel free to like, subscribe, drop us a comment, shoot us an email if you'd like to have some answers or comments read, or tell us that we all suck, that's all perfectly fine. And you can join our Discord, where we post things that are going on if we're about to stream. A local Legacy tournament series is housed there as well. So if you're really into Legacy, you can join that and attend some tournaments there.
37, by the way, last
37.
week.
37
people showed up.
For a dead format, that's really good.
Josh actually top 8'd too. So
for the Alabama Legacy League for the South, Legacy is alive in the South, baby.
Yeah, the South will. Well, never mind.
I was literally about to say that. I stopped myself. But yeah, no. Feel free to join us up and check us out and just come hang with us every once in a while. But with that, I think we are going to call it this week. So thank you if you've listened or watched this far in. We appreciate you hanging out with us today. And as always, we will see you next week. You know what? I think that was Markiplier's line. Did I say that? I think I copied Markiplier just then.
You got to do, Josh, send us out.
Yes.
Send us out, Josh.
Josh, do the thing.
Oh, yeah. Send us money. Oh, not that one. Okay. Well, as always, I say it every time, but I'll say it and I mean it more every day. And that is the best part about Magic is the gathering. So take care of yourself. Take care of each other. We'll see you next time. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.